Well, it's a beautiful Sunday morning. I'm just going to have a quick check on our puppies who are now 2 weeks old and 3 weeks old, the two different litters. Well, here they are. They're walking around and their eyes are open. We got them on paper now because they just got started on solid food. And they're starting to play with each other a little bit. They're growing like crazy. Yeah, they're doing well, doing really well. We're just about ready to start picking puppies. We'll be doing that in the next week or so. They're doing so well. Hey, Millie's a good girl, hey? Yeah. Millie's ready to wean them and move back in with her friends next door. That'll be happening in the next 10 days or so. Hey, Millie? You're a good girl. More like 2 weeks. I would say more like 2 weeks. Hey? She's pretty content right now. There's a few days where, I don't know, in the early part of weaning and or nursing and stuff, sometimes she gets a little bit anxious, but she's kind of settled in right now. Just doing great. A little bark there. A little orange collar giving a bark. This guy's getting sleepy. We're getting close, folks. We're getting close. Just a few more weeks. This guy here is smaller than all the rest. There's one in every litter, pretty much. I'll have a look at Sandy. Come here, Sandy. Good girl. Sandy just needs a bit of loving in the morning. Hey, you're a good girl. Good girl. That's what she needs in the morning. Just a bit of loving. Hey. Good girl. Yeah. Now we'll go have a look at the puppies. They're all sleeping right now, so they haven't been converted to solid food yet. So they're still nursing. They must have just fed. Look how much redder. Like, this is a lighter one here. Right next to it is a much redder one. Actually, looking at it through the camera, you cannot see the contrast nearly as well. Like, this guy here is very dark compared to this one, but on the camera it doesn't look as dark. But even Sandy's puppies have their eyes open. They're walking. That little light one there, that's the smallest one. Cute little things. They love to be touched and held right now. They just love to be touched. So we give them lots of loving, lots of touching, lots of attention. But they've only just started opening their eyes and walking, so they're not terribly mobile yet. I just love all the color of the lines on their face. Just beautiful. This is what we see a lot of right now. Lots of sleeping. That's a very good sign. Puppies that are hungry cry. Puppies that are sleeping have full bellies. So they're doing well. These lids we keep down when they're young, and the mother likes her privacy in dark. But now that they're kind of through the first few weeks, we keep these lids up. Get more light in here. Of course, the mothers, they can just hop through here. It's a little bit of a sliding gate that goes in here. Let's see, where is it? They're stored away somewhere, but we just slide it in. When the puppies get old enough to jump over there, we just slide the gate in, and that gives the mothers can still jump over. And, but I mean, by the time we put that little slidey gate in, basically the mothers have been weaned, and they come out of these pens, and then they go back in with their big friends. Hey? And then they can come and go from the dog run as they please. They like to spend quite a bit of time in here now because of the air conditioning. It's been really hot lately. Come on, Sandy. There you go. Good girl. Couple of happy mamas and happy pups. Right, Millie? Good girl. Good girl, Sandy. So, just in case anybody's wondering, if you just looked at one quick snapshot of the dogs behind the chain link, especially the mothers with their puppies, you would look at that and you'd say, they're caged up. They can't move, they can't this, they can't that. So it's good to understand a little bit of context. They have a doggy door attached to their run, and they can come and go from the inside to the outside as much as they please. Secondly, they're only in with the puppies. They start weaning them off of their mother's milk at 3 weeks old. By 5 weeks old, they're completely off of their mother's milk. And by then, the mums no longer want to be in with the puppies. So 5 weeks, that's it. During that 5 weeks, they still have the freedom to come and go. During that 5 weeks, we go in and we spend time with the moms every day. We walk them. They're not stuck in those pens the entire time. They come and go as they please. And then 5 weeks later, life is back to normal. Life as usual. They go in with the other big dogs, and they're back to normal. This is little Beatrice. We've had her for a few weeks now. She's just a handful. I call her a giant dust bunny. So the reason I'm saying these things is because some people are a little concerned that everybody wants to see dogs treated humanely. And when you look around, we live in the bush. Like, we're in the middle of 80 acres of bush. Every direction as far as you can see. This is what we live in. And when our dogs come out of the kennel, which is every day, this is what they get to play in. And by the way, there's one reason and one reason only that we keep them in the kennel and in the dog run. We used to let them roam free, but we had a German Shepherd who taught our Goldens the bad habit of running off to explore the bigger, wider world out there, and they would roam for miles. And we lost a couple of dogs this way. They were stolen. We've also had a neighbor a mile or two down the road who fancies himself a bit of a humanitarian when it comes to animals, and instead of just calling me, and he knows me and he knows our dogs, he called the pound and had our dog picked up, and it cost me $150 to get him back. I said to the fellow, why didn't you just call me? Oh, I didn't know. I'm like, you knew perfectly well. He's got a name and a phone number on his collar. You knew whose dog he was, and you wanted to make a point, and you did, that you're not a very friendly neighbor. And in all fairness, our dogs do need to stay at home, no question about it. I've got no problem with somebody taking exception to our dogs roaming and being on their property. They should be They should take exception to that. I should keep my dogs at home, which is why we have a dog run. We can't just let them roam free. It's easy sometimes for folks who live in the city and have a fenced-in yard the size of a, maybe a quarter acre, which I think would be a large city yard. Okay, for context here, okay, this is our house. I'm standing about 50 feet from the house, not more than that. This is our front yard. This is just the clearing where our house is. This is larger than most people's entire yard in town. Never mind those who live in an apartment or a condo. This is just stone's throw from the house. It's easy for folks sometimes who have a fenced-in yard to tell us you should let your dogs run free. By run free, what they mean is run free in their fenced-in yard, which is the size of a postage stamp. And to any of you who live in town and have a fenced yard, I have no issue with that. Goldens, most dogs will adapt to a million different lifestyles, and they're happy. That's how dogs are. They love to be with people, and they will adapt to your lifestyle. My issue is this. People without any context make snap judgments from one photo or a 30-second video clip and decide you're not treating your dogs well. Well, I've done a little bit of the so-called creeping on Facebook for the people that sometimes criticize, and you can tell a lot by people's photos. And all of their photos show their pets indoors or in a fenced backyard or on a leash at the dog park. I have no issue with any of those. I don't care if the dog lives inside. I don't care if the dog lives in your backyard. I don't care if you put them on a leash when you walk them. But is that better than what we have here? The one criticism we got was, you're not raising your dogs like family. We got 6 big dogs. Currently, we got 22 puppies. That's 28 dogs living together over there in the kennel. Is that not family? They have each other. They're never, ever, ever alone. The puppies have an amazing life. They grow up together with their siblings right up until the time we send them on to their new family. They're never alone. The big dogs are never alone. They're either with each other or with us and each other when we walk them or play with them. Talking about treating our dogs well, let's look at one more thing here. Perhaps in some of our videos, and even now as you're watching, you see this big hole in the ground. This is the pond we're building for our dogs. Now we're hoping to grow some nice plants around it and maybe even stock it with fish. I don't know. It's a work in progress, and everything costs money, so we're taking it stage by stage as we can afford it. But one of the things that we miss is taking our dogs to the sand pits where there's a big pond for them to swim in. So we're doing it right here. It's a lot of work, and it's a certain amount of expense to get it done, which is why it's not done yet. I guess the point that I'm saying is I don't judge anybody else for how they treat their animals. Now, we did many years ago, breeding our little terrier, one of the puppies went to an abusive home, and it was heartbreaking. To the point where the dog actually ended up dying. It makes me feel sick thinking about that. And that was very early on in our experience as breeders. And we've got a very different process now for deciding who we deal with. Long story. Why am I telling you that? Because we care. We care about our dogs. We care about where they go. Where they go, to me, some breeders, they have almost like an interview process where you have to present your resume and, tell me about your house, tell me about your yard, how often will you walk them? And I even know breeders, I should say I know them, I know of breeders who require their buyers to sign a contract that they can come and kind of do a health check on these puppies at any time without notice. And if they decide you're not treating your dog well, they can take that puppy back. It's in the contract with no recourse. Anybody can say anything on a interview or on a sheet of paper. That's not how we do it. We base it off of our relationship that we build with each of our puppy buyers. And for those of you that have had puppies from us for a while now, you know what I'm talking about. And we maintain contact to different degrees with different people. Some people we rarely, if ever, hear from again. Others send us photos almost on a daily basis, and then we've got everything in between. Nancy has sent me lots of photos. Monica sent me lots of photos, even videos. Philip up in Bergio, he sends me videos on a regular basis, and I absolutely love it. I like to think that from here at Sandy Ridge to the home that our puppies go to, it's basically a seamless experience of love and care. There are 3 reasons we do what we do. Number 1, the biggest reason we do what we do is because we love people. That's number 1. It's not the dogs, it's people. Number 2, we love golden retrievers and dogs in general, but we particularly love golden retrievers. And when we combine those two, our love for people and our love for goldens, we get to share a common passion with many, many people. We're at the point now where we're getting into the hundreds. We've been doing this long enough. We've been able to share what we love, the dogs that we love, with many, many people. It's literally hundreds of people because they go to families. And the third reason is we get to make a buck, sharing our passion with the people that we get to know. Is that wrong? I can't afford to do this for nothing. It doesn't make us a puppy mill, does it? That's the accusation. So sorry about the long-winded kind of rant. I don't think it's a rant. I'm just sharing thoughts. So we love people. We love our dogs. We love sharing our dogs with people. And there's a cost associated with doing this. So one more thought. When we bought this property, this is what it was. There was no road here. There was no road there. This road, which is we call it the new driveway, was every bit as thick a bush as that. It looked like this over there. We built this road. This was a piece of virgin bushland that had never been developed. This was a bit of a natural clearing, but you see where all the sand is? It looked like, well, this is kind of grass that we planted, but it was all green scrub grass, natural prairie grasses growing everywhere. This was all green. That thinner scrubby brush that you see there came up till about where the house is. We cleared all of that. There was no house, there was no garage, there was no kennel, there was no power, there was no water, there was no sewer, nothing, absolutely nothing here except virgin ground. And let me tell you, it's been a project to start with nothing and bring it all in. First of all, it's a lot of work. Secondly, there's an expense to all of this. First, you buy the property, then you get it ready to build on. And you spend tens of thousands for each of these things, for the water, for the sewer, for the hydro. Just for the hydro alone, it was like close to $30,000. But our goal when we saw the property for the first time was, I think we can do this. I think we can afford to do this if somehow we can find a way to generate enough income or revenue off of our property to do all of this. So for the first year, we just enjoyed this property as a recreational property. But we're not wealthy people, and we just can't float the mortgage on 2 different properties at the same time, just willy-nilly. We needed to move into one location. So we built the house the following year. Then we built the garage. Then we had a little shed, which is now our chicken shed. I'll show you that. But we had a little shed where we originally started raising our dogs. Then we moved that kennel in and built that into what it is today. Every year we invest back into our property so that our dogs have a better life. It makes us better equipped to do a good job with our dogs, with our puppies, and treat them better, give them more opportunities. Like the pond is the next thing. So that little blue shed there, look at my wife's beautiful garden. She's got quite a green thumb, let me tell you. That little blue shed there used to be, well, that's where we started raising our dogs. Now it's a chicken coop. That little black pen there is a dog run. Now it's a chicken run. Nothing gets thrown out, everything gets reused. But again, I'm ranting a little bit. Not ranting, just explaining that it's been a very specific and intentional effort here to do things right, to do it well. And for any of you who have been here and have visited, I'd invite you to share your experience in the comments. Your experience with us as people and with the way our dogs are raised and the way they live. Yeah, this thing's been on my mind. The accusation of running a puppy mill. It's not on my mind all that much, but it's still kind of there, kind of in a residual way, because while I do feel it's an unfair criticism, what I try to do is take some truth from it and say to myself, what can I do better? What can I do better? So even though I don't like the criticism, and even though I think it's unfair, I'm going to take that and say there is some value in criticism because we can always do something better. I'm not going to sit here and say we can't improve. We will, we can, and we are. So thank you for listening. I hope for those of you that just came for the puppies, you checked out a long time ago. And for those of you that know a little bit about us and care about us and stuck with me to the end here, thank you. I appreciate that very much. And have a great rest of the day, and we'll check in with you again soon. Take care. She's got the big dogs going now. Oh, that was a bit too much for her. You tell him.